Hey guys, hope you had a good day. Talking about David and Absalom. So Absalom makes himself king over all of Israel. He proclaims himself, I'm the king, I'm the bomb. David's ran away. So Absalom has two friends, and he asked him, what should I do now? I'm the king, what should I do now? And David is just ran away. Remember, he's barefoot, he's exhausted, he just got cussed out by this guy, throwing rocks at him and throwing dirt at him and screaming at him. And he's just had a horrible, horrible day. So Absalom asks his friends, what should I do now? And one of his friends says, attack while he is weary and weak, and strike him with terror. Get 11,000 men. No, how many was it total? Shoot. I think it was 11,000, or 20, maybe it was 20,000. Anyways, get a whole bunch of guys, go attack David while he's weak, while he's weary from running, and then you can strike down the king, and then all the people will follow you. That was one of his friend's advice. Okay? His name was Ahithophel. Then his other friend's advice, his name was Hushai. He came along and he said, I think that's a really bad plan. You know your father and his men, they are all fighters their whole life, and fierce as a wild bear, raw never cubs. Besides, they're all experienced fighters. Your father won't be with the people because he's an experienced fighter. If you try to do this, there will be a great slaughter among your troops who follow you, and even the bravest of soldiers whose hearts is like a lion will melt with fear. So basically, hello, I think you need to rethink your plan. David's like the greatest warrior ever, killed Goliath when he was a young kid, and now has killed thousands and thousands of Philistines. Every battle he's ever gone in, he totally kicked butt. And I don't think that's a good idea for you to go pick on the best warrior ever in the whole world. Bad plan. So he said, if you're going to do this, man, you got to get every single warrior in the entire nation of Israel to go. Not just a little amount, but every single one of them. So they get every single one of them. Now, David had kind of like spies. He had people that were loyal to him, that loved him, that were there in the city, and they heard about it. So they ran to go tell David, because they knew where David was. And as they were running, somebody saw him, and they knew they were going to go tell David. So they ran to catch him. The guys that were going to go tell David, the people that were on Absalom's side, ran to catch him, and they saw where they'd gone to this certain house. So the men got there really quick, just a couple of minutes before Absalom's men got there, and they're like, hide us. So this woman sticks him down in a water well, and then she puts a sheet over the water well and puts grain on top of the sheet, so it looks like it's just a table. And these guys are down there in the well. Think about how long this time must have been. They have news that they've got to get David. Absalom's coming with all the soldiers in Israel to try to kill you, and you've got to leave where you are right now. Serious, urgent news. You've got to leave or you're gonna die. And they're sitting there, hiding in a well, waiting for these guys that are trying to find them. That must have been a very, very long time. But finally the guys that were looking for him took off. They got out. They went and told David. So by the time that Absalom and all of his men that he had showed up, David was gone. But eventually the battle did happen. And right before the battle, let's see. Before the battle happened, this happened. A man came to David. This happened a lot to David. People took care of him. They loved him. So he was out in the desert. He didn't have anything. So somebody from his past came, and he brought him beans and lentils and honey and milk and curds and cheese and flour and barley and wheat and a whole bunch of bowls and a whole bunch of bedding. to take care of David. So they all ate, and they all got full, and then David finally got all of his guys together, and Absalom finally met him, and they met in this forest, okay? And they had a battle, and the forest ended up killing more people than the guys killed, David's men killed. But just like the advice of Absalom's friend, David's men were awesome, and they killed 20,000 of Absalom's soldiers. And then the forest killed a whole bunch more than 20,000 of Absalom's soldiers. Okay, so finally David's men run across and actually see Absalom. He's on his mule. And the Bible says Absalom happened to meet David's men. He was riding his mule, and his mule went under the thick branches of a large oak. Absalom's head got caught in the tree. Now, probably was his hair, because he had all that awesomeness hair that weighed so much. Might have just been his head, but anyways, he gets stuck in the tree. So someone finds him, and they go and tell the leader, the captain of the army, who is Joab. And they say, "We found Absalom." And Absalom is, "Why didn't you kill him? I'd have given you some money." And the man's like, "I would have never killed him." Oh, dang, I forgot this part. Because, this is why, because David, before the battle happened, David made an announcement to Joab and to every single person in the army. Says, "Be very kind to Absalom. Don't be mean to him. Be very kind to my son Absalom." So this guy's, "I'm not going to kill him because I heard what the king said." And Joab said, "I have heard enough of this. I'm not going to wait on this." It says, Joab said, "I'm not going to wait like this for you." So he went over and he took 3 javelins and he stuck him into Absalom's heart, and then he fell down, and the men finished him off, and he killed him. Alright, now, I think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Absalom has been trying to kill David, been trying to take the kingdom away from David, has just sent over 20,000, because 20,000 died, Israelites, to kill David and all of his men. So the one guy that's instigated all of it is dead. Would you consider that a bad thing or a good thing? So, for some reason, there's this weird story now how they want to go tell David, right? So Joab's like, this one guy comes up to him, I want to go tell. His name was Zadok. He said, "Come now, please let me run and tell." And Zadok said, "No, I just want to send this Cushite guy." And then Zadok asked again, please, I want to run, I want to go tell the king. So finally Joab's like, "Okay, run." It's his explanation point. So he ran to tell the king, and he went and told the king. And they had watchmen, they looked, and they saw one guy running. They're like, "Oh, it must be good news." And they saw another guy running, and they were like, "That looks like," they knew who it looked. He ran like Zadok. He must have been a guy that loved to run. And they went and they told the king. And this is what the king did. He got all crying on everybody. And he went into his chambers. The king was shaking. He went into his room to get over the gateway to weep, and he just kept saying, "Oh, my son Absalom. Oh, my son, I wish I'd have died instead of you." Now Joab is the captain of the guard of the army. He gets ticked off that this is David's response, because in the midst of all this, the men that have been fighting for David, when you have a victory, what you do when you have a victory is you come into town and there's a parade and you're excited and you're happy because you saved the king's life and you helped the city be safe. And now all the men from the battle are coming down and their heads are down and they're sneaking into their houses and they're basically sad because they just saved the king's life. So Joab goes and he has a heart-to-heart. This is what we call a rebuke. He rebuked the king. He said, the whole army and the victory that that day was turned into the victory that day was turned into mourning. The men stole into the city that day as they steal away when they're ashamed and they flee from battle. So this is what Joab said. He said, today you have humiliated all your men who have just saved your life. You love those who hate you. Who would that be? Absalom. You have made it clear today that the commanders of their men mean nothing to you. I see that you would have be pleased if Absalom were alive today and all of us were dead. Now you go out and encourage your men. It's a rebuke. It's when somebody can come up to you and tell you you're wrong and the way you're acting is wrong and you need to change. Okay, so David, sure enough, he listened to Joab. He went out and sat on his throne and was sitting in the gateway so that all the men could come out and they could be happy. All right. So, how did Absalom get stuck? Where did he get stuck? What was the advice of his friends? One friend said, do this, and the other said, not a good idea. And why was it not a good idea? When the spies were going to go tell David, they had a detour into where? I bet that was scary. Let's see. Then what did Joab do to David? We call it this when you tell somebody they need to change their attitude. All right. Love you guys. Have a good night.